and other agricultural products like good old American beef. The deal commits the United States and United Kingdom to work together to enhance industrial and agricultural market access and strengthens American competitiveness. Importantly, the deal also ensures streamlined customs procedures for U.S. exports. The UK will also be purchasing $10 billion of American-made Boeing planes as part of the deal. A trade agreement like this between the United States and the United Kingdom was being worked on for many years, but continued to prove elusive. But because of President Trump's bold negotiating approach, he got it done. All of this happened because of President Trump's implementation of powerful tariffs to end the era of economic surrender and rebalance America's trading agreements. American workers and companies are the best in the world, and they finally have a president who has their backs, fights for them, and delivers good deals that puts them first. This is just the first of many trade deals to come. Get ready for more historic deals and our country to boom like never before. On that note, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Ambassador Jamieson Greer will meet with the lead representatives on economic matters from the People's Republic of China over the weekend in Switzerland. As President Trump has said, the United States and China have been talking for some time over the course of the administration, and now teams from both countries will meet in person to continue discussions. You can be certain that President Trump and his trade team will ensure we work to achieve the best deal possible for America. In other news, the Trump administration just announced a new incentive for illegal aliens living in the United States to self-deport. Eligible illegal aliens who now use the CBP Home app to self-deport will receive a clear, safe way to leave the United States. Their plane tickets home may be paid for, and they will receive a $1,000 stipend once we have confirmation that they have left our country. This new feature will allow illegal aliens to have a planned departure out of the country and to leave as soon as possible in a dignified way. If illegal aliens make the right decision here and submit their intent to depart through the CBP Home app and pass extensive vetting, they will be temporarily deprioritized for ICE detention and enforcement action before their scheduled departure. And leaving voluntarily in this matter may improve their legal immigration options in the future. This initiative will also save massive amounts of money for American taxpayers. Voluntary departures are much more cost-effective than traditional removals. By deploying the CBP Home app in this new way, President Trump is aiming to reduce the need for costly arrests, detentions, and court proceedings. Currently, the average cost of traditional removal is more than $17,000 per illegal alien. Our projections estimate that the use of the CBP Home app will massively reduce that financial burden by approximately 70%, so taxpayer dollars can be redirected and our brave immigration law enforcement officers can focus on removing the most violent illegal aliens hiding in our communities. Finally, it was announced this morning that First Lady Melania Trump secured a $25 million investment in President Trump's budget to provide housing and support for youth transitioning out of foster care. And in recognition of the 7th anniversary of Mrs. Trump's Be Best initiative, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development allocated funds toward the agency Foster Youth to Independence program. Yesterday, Mrs. Trump hosted a special celebration of military mothers with the president, bringing together 150 military moms from around the country to recognize their service, not just in their home, but for our country. For those of you who were there at the events yesterday like I did, I have no doubt you will join me in recognizing how truly special those moments were. So let's get to questions. Here in our new media seat today is Andrew Egger, the White House correspondent for The Bulwark. The Bulwark is a new media company launched in 2019 with hundreds of thousands of readers on Substack and more than 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Andrew, please kick us off. And thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Caroline. The president posted another ad this week for his Trump meme coin. The group that's running that coin is encouraging people to buy in order to win a dinner this month with the president. Why is the president planning to attend a dinner for the top investors in his coin?
Look, the president is abiding by all conflict of interest laws. The president has been incredibly transparent with his own personal financial obligations throughout the years. The president is a successful businessman, and I think, frankly, it's one of the many reasons that people reelected him back to this office.
There are at least some people who are buying this coin who seem to view it as an opportunity to influence the president's views. There was a logistics company this week that said they would buy $20 million in the coin in order to advocate for free trade between the U.S. and Mexico. If buyers are buying for that reason, are they wasting their money?
Look, I can assure you the president acts with only the interests of the American public in mind, putting our country first and doing what's best for our country, full stop. That's his intention, and that's what he's focused on. Kristen, good to see you here today. Welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be back. So on those China talks, what does President Trump expect to come out of those talks? And is he going to be disappointed if his team can't secure a deal?
Well, look, the president is very confident in his Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, and of course, Ambassador Jamieson Greer, who has played an instrumental role in all of these trade negotiations as well. I think yesterday's success, the announcement of a trade deal with the United Kingdom, is a great first step. Again, many said in this room it couldn't be done. Now we are moving forward with many other countries. We're talking to dozens of our trading partners around the world. But of course, China is a major country, a major player in this space. And the president has said, and he's right, China needs the United States of America. They need our markets. They need our consumer base. And Secretary Bessent knows that he's going to Switzerland this weekend with the full support and confidence and trust of the president here at home. Jack.
Thanks very much, Caroline. Two questions. First, can you give us an update on U.S. efforts to mediate or have an impact on the conflict between India and Pakistan?
Sure, I absolutely can. This is something that the Secretary of State and, of course, now our National Security Advisor as well, Marco Rubio, has been very much involved in. The president has expressed he wants to see this de-escalate as quickly as possible. He understands these are two countries that have been at odds with one another for decades, long before President Trump was here in the Oval Office. However, he has good relationships with the leaders of both countries, and the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, I spoke to him just yesterday. He has been in constant communication with the leaders of both countries trying to bring this conflict to an end.
Just one other question. Yesterday, we saw the news of the new Pope. Before Pope Leo became Pope Leo, there were some critical comments that he made about President Trump and about Vice President Vance on his then X account. Does the White House have any reaction to those comments?
The president made his reaction to Pope Leo's announcement yesterday very clear. He is very proud to have an American Pope. I think it was a surprise to everyone. I saw the news media was surprised to report on that yesterday, but it's a great thing for the United States of America and for the world, and we are praying for him.
Thanks, Caroline. The president has been pretty firm on keeping these 145% tariffs in place on Chinese imports. Today, via Truth Social, he said that he'd be possibly open to lowering those to 80%. Why the change, and how did the president land on 80?
The president still remains with his position that he is not going to unilaterally bring down tariffs on China. We need to see concessions from them as well. And again, that's part of the reason that Secretary Bessent is going to talk to his Chinese counterparts this weekend to start those discussions in person. As for the 80% number, that was a number the president threw out there, and we'll see what happens this weekend. And always in the effort of transparency, I'm sure you'll hear directly from the Treasury Secretary or the president after those negotiations conclude. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. Why did the White House announce this deal with the UK before all of the details were finished?
That's not true, actually. I saw the fact sheet. I saw the deal as well before the president brought all of you in the Oval Office in the effort of transparency. You had the president and the prime minister on the phone talking to all of you directly about how this was a great deal, a phenomenal deal, and discussions will continue. But as I spoke to our Ambassador Greer yesterday, this is how trade deals work. You set an initial agreement, you set the framework, you set up the deal, and then, of course, T's have to be crossed and I's have to be dotted, but this deal is a good deal, and the numbers are determined, and all of the market access that I just discussed will remain.
Does that mean that the 10% baseline is going to still be there at the end when all of the other details are ironed out?
The president is committed to the 10% baseline tariff, not just for the United Kingdom, but for his trade negotiations with all other countries as well.
Permanently, even after the deals are done, like that is going to remain.
The president is determined to continue with that 10% baseline tariff. I just spoke to him about it earlier. Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. I'd like to ask about New York and about a personnel matter. On New York, the mayor, Eric Adams, is here today. Could you tell us anything more about the visit, who initiated it, what they're talking about? And also, is there any comment from the White House on the air traffic control issues in Newark?
All I will say on Mayor Eric Adams is that he requested a meeting with the president, and the president was willing to take it. If the president wishes to discuss his private meeting afterwards, I will let him do that himself. Yes, I'm glad you asked about the FAA. There was a glitch in the system this morning, especially at Newark Airport. As you all know, I spoke to the Department of Transportation. That glitch was caused by the same telecoms and software issues that were raised last week. Everything went back online after the brief outage, and there was no operational impact. DOT and the FAA are working to address this technical issue tonight to prevent further outages, as well as install new fiber from Newark Airport to Philadelphia. And the goal is to have the totality of this work done by the end of the summer. I want to add that this outage at Newark Airport speaks to why the Secretary of Transportation yesterday made a massive announcement in investing in our aviation safety and our telecom system. There's a 4-part infrastructure plan that was released by the Secretary of Transportation yesterday to improve communication, surveillance, automation, and their facilities. They want to replace the antiquated telecom systems with new fiber, wireless, and satellite technologies, replace more than 600 radars, which have gone way past their life cycle, and address runway safety. They want to build 6 new air traffic control centers for the first time since the 1960s and replace towers as well. They want to implement new modern hardware and software for all traffic facilities to create a common platform system throughout the towers. These are much needed changes. This is a very bold plan by the Department of Transportation. I think it's unfortunate that the previous administration sat in their hands and did nothing, but how grateful we are that we have a Department of Transportation and a secretary and a president who's willing to take bold action and change.
The personnel matter, Caroline, could I ask you?
Thanks, Caroline. Just going back to India, Pakistan, can we expect President Trump to get in touch personally with the leaders of those countries to try and de-escalate this situation?
If and when that happens, we will certainly let you know. Natalie.
Thanks, Caroline. Sure. I have a question about the Middle East trip. Will any of the president's family members, like including Don Jr., Eric, or Jared Kushner, be joining him on the trip?
I am not tracking any of the president's family members joining us at this time, but of course, the first family is welcome to come. I hope they would. They're great people, great to be around, but I'm not tracking them on the manifesto.
And given that you noted he is a successful businessman, do you know if the president has any plans to meet with any of the folks involved with any of the family businesses over there, or see any of the sites that are going to be
Not to my knowledge, and let me just get to the premise of your question that both of you have raised. I think it's frankly ridiculous that anyone in this room would even suggest that President Trump is doing anything for his own benefit. He left a life of luxury and a life of running a very successful real estate empire for public service, not just once, but twice. And again, the American public reelected him back to this White House because they trust he acts in the best interest of our country and putting the American public first. This is a president who has actually lost money for being president of the United States. I don't remember these same type of questions being asked of my predecessor about a career politician who was clearly profiting off of this office. That is not what President Trump does, and this White House holds ourselves to the highest of ethical standards. Phil.
Thank you. There's this Reuters report that the U.S. is in talks with Israel about an American-led post-war administration in Gaza. Is that accurate? Are these talks ongoing?
We are in constant communication and dialogue with our counterparts and our allies and friends in Israel. Ron Dermer was here at the White House yesterday meeting with members of President Trump's team. As for the situation in Gaza, the president and his entire national security team have made it very clear we want to see the hostages released from Gaza. That is a priority for this administration. As for what that looks like, and even moving beyond that, I'm not going to get into the details of plans that frankly may or may not have even been proposed, but I can emphasize what the president holds closest in his heart right now, and that's the release of all of the hostages in Gaza.
And then there's been some conservative pushback to some of these the salt tax cap. For instance, Majority Leader Steve Scalise said that bringing back the state and local tax deduction would essentially mean, quote, 45 states are subsidizing 5 states that have very high taxes imposed by leftist governors. Is he wrong? Is it fair to ask red Indiana to bail out blue New York?
Well, look, this is an ongoing discussion on the Hill. There's a lot of disagreement on Capitol Hill right now about the SALT tax proposal, and we will let them work it out. As for the tax provisions in the reconciliation bill, the priorities of this president, he has made them incredibly clear. No tax on tips for our hardworking service workers, no tax on Social Security for our well-deserving seniors who have worked their whole lives to pay into this system, no tax on overtime for hardworking Americans as well, and there's a plethora of other priorities the president wants to see in this bill. Anyone who opposes this bill will be opposing the largest tax cut in American history. They will be voting to raise taxes by the tune of $4 trillion on the middle class of this country, and we look forward to holding them accountable for that. Everyone on Capitol Hill on both sides of the aisle should be supportive of the president's tax priorities.
Follow up on that?
Go ahead. Sure. Go ahead, and then I'll go to your follow-up.
Thanks, Caroline. I want to follow up on the Truth Social post. So the president's saying 80% tariffs could come down. Just an announcement would be enough to lower those tariffs. Is that what he's looking for from the Chinese concessions?
That's not what the president said. He said that an 80% number may sound good to him, but again, he's in constant contact with our Secretary of Treasury, who will be leading these negotiations this weekend.
And historically, the Chinese have made the meeting itself a win. What does a win look like out of these meetings for the president this weekend?
A good deal for the American worker and the American people. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. Yeah, back to the reconciliation bill. Can you just clarify the president's position, though, a little bit specifically on the tax issue? Because in his Truth Social post, he said this morning that he would accept even a tiny tax increase for the rich, but then says Republicans probably shouldn't do it, but I'm okay if they do it. So what is it that he wants? Does he want them to increase the tax rates?
The president wants tax cuts, the largest tax cuts in history. He wants to extend his historic tax cuts from 2017, and he wants to see all of the other tax priorities that I just laid out for you included in this bill as well. As for the policy proposal you're talking about, the president has said he himself personally would not mind paying a little bit more to help the poor and the middle class and the working class in this country. I think, frankly, that's a very honorable position. But again, these negotiations are ongoing on Capitol Hill, and the president will weigh in when he feels necessary.
Encourage them to have a higher bracket for top earners?
The president has made his personal position on this matter clear. Michael. The president's in constant communication with leaders on the Hill.
Ahead of the president's trip to the Middle East, he's mentioned he wants to rename the Persian Gulf the Gulf of Arabia. Iran is now saying that doing so will bring the wrath of all Iranians. Can you talk about the support that the Gulf of Arabia has in the region and why this is important to the president?
Well, first of all, the president has said he hasn't made a determination yet. That was in the news that you guys all asked him about it, and he said he wasn't quite sure. So he hasn't made a definitive decision on that yet.
And secondly, Caroline, the president has shown support for South African refugees that are coming to the United States next week. Can you talk about what these refugees are fleeing and why this is a priority for the administration?
Well, the president has actually signed an executive order on that matter. My office can get it back to you, Michael. But this group in South Africa has faced racial persecution. In fact, the government there has vowed to take away their farmland that they own. And so the president has talked significantly about this. As for further details on refugee claims and asylum claims, I would defer you to the State Department.
Can I follow up on that?
Go ahead. No, in front of you.
Thanks, sorry.
Sure.
Thank you, Caroline. Does the administration have any response to the news today that a federal judge has ordered the immediate release of Ramesa Ozturk from detention, and particularly his comments that the government submitted no evidence other than an op-ed that Ozturk wrote last year?
I will have to check in with the Department of Homeland Security on that particular case, but I think our overall feeling, we've made quite clear that lower-level judges should not be dictating the foreign policy of the United States, and we absolutely believe that the president and the Department of Homeland Security are well within their legal rights to deport illegal immigrants. As for visa revocations, the Secretary of State has the right to do that as well. It is a privilege, not a right, to come to this country on a visa. But I'll check in on the specific case. My office will get you details. Sure.
Caroline, yesterday the administration appears to have started dismantling the Consumer Product Safety Commission. This is the federal agency, an independent one that does recalls and is responsible for product safety. Does the administration not believe that it's important, to keep toys and cribs? I mean, you're a young mom off of the product of the market.
It's a federal agency within which branch? It's the executive branch. Who's the head of the executive branch? The President of the United States.
Created by Congress.
He has the right to fire people within the executive branch. It's a pretty simple answer. Francesca.
Thanks. One foreign policy one and then a domestic policy thing, if I could. As far as the president's trip goes next week, Is he planning to meet with the FIFA president in either Saudi Arabia or Qatar? And if so, could you give us some more details about that?
The president has quite a few meetings with many people when he is there. We can certainly check at the itinerary and let you know if the FIFA president will be there next week. Frankly, I'm not quite sure, but we can certainly get you an answer. As you know, the president attended a FIFA task force meeting at the White House this week.
And on the domestic front, could you explain why the FEMA administrator was removed from his position this week?
This is a personnel matter in regards to the Department of Homeland Security, but my understanding is that this individual testified saying something that was contrary to what the president believes in the goals of this administration in regards to FEMA policy. And so, of course, we want to make sure that people in every position are advancing the administration's goals. But as for specifics, I defer you to the Department of Homeland Security. We leave it up to our great cabinet secretaries when it comes to personnel matters. Sure, in the back.
Thank you. Aid hasn't gone into Gaza in 10 weeks. Israel says that this is a policy to pressure Hamas in the negotiations, in the ceasefire negotiations. Is this a policy that this administration supports?
The president answered this week. He said that he wants to ensure that aid can get into Gaza, but we have to do it in a responsible way to ensure it doesn't end up in the hands of terrorists. So this is something the administration is actively working on, and when we have a policy to announce on this definitively, we can certainly let you know.
Can you talk about this effort for the U.S. to take over the distribution of aid in Gaza, to exclude Israel, but also international organizations said this effort militarizes aid?
I would reject that characterization by whatever groups you are citing. Kelly.
Caroline, thank you. I want to get back to the First Lady Melania Trump dealing with foster children. That's an important component in American life to see what happens to the future of our children, particularly in foster care. Can you explain the significance of this development between the First Lady and the Housing and Urban Development?
Yes, absolutely. It's millions of dollars that will go into a program that helps these children transition out of foster care to have productive and positive lives. And I'd like to share a personal story since you asked if I may. I hope the First Lady won't mind. I was at an event in Florida last year, and I was approached by a gentleman who was a foster dad, and he had taken in I think it was 6 or 7 foster children. And he spoke to me. He had recognized me in my work for President Trump's campaign at the time. And the little boy who was with him talked about the personal relationship that he had with First Lady Melania Trump, and the conversation she had had with him and how she really encouraged him to be the best that he could be during her first term here at the White House, and how even after she and President Trump left the White House, she kept in very close touch with this young foster child. It was a touching moment that I will never forget, and it speaks to the heart of this First Lady and the great work that she is doing for foster children. And this is certainly a very big announcement that I know our Secretary of Housing and Urban Development is in particular very excited about, and we can certainly get you all the details on that program. John.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. I want to ask you about the trade deal that the president announced yesterday with the UK as it relates to the auto sector.
Sure.
The trade group that represents the big three here in the U.S. believes that it may put the big three automakers at a competitive disadvantage. What the trade group says is that it will now be cheaper to import a UK vehicle with very little American content than a USMCA compliant vehicle imported from Mexico or Canada with just 50% American content. What's your response to that criticism coming from this trade group?
Well, first of all, let's be clear about what the deal does. It sets a 10% rate on auto imports for the first 100 cars that are imported into the United States. 100,000 cars, thank you. That would be very few cars. 100,000 cars imported from the United Kingdom. After 100,000 vehicles, it goes back up to a 25% tariff. And as for our U.S. auto manufacturers, our auto industry, the president wants to put them on the best pedestal to compete. And by the way, if they produce vehicles right here in the United States of America, they will face no tariff at all. I would argue of any industry, the president has spent more time talking to and listening to the concerns of our auto industry here at home. He hears them. He believes in them. He wants to see them produce their vehicles here in the United States of America. This is a good deal for them too.
Is this a model for European and Asian vehicles as well, what we see coming out of the UK trade deal with the US?
Look, all of these deals are going to be tailor-made. The president has said that from the beginning. It's very apropos that the first trade deal was announced between the United States and the United Kingdom, one of our oldest and greatest allies. But each country has unique concerns and challenges in terms of American industry. We need to open up markets in every single country, and obviously the needs are unique. So our trade team is looking at each country and the advantages that we can pursue for American industries and American workers. Sure.
Happy early Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you.
The president said yesterday that he would be speaking with Zelensky shortly. Did that call happen yesterday, or do we expect that to happen in the near term?
The call happened yesterday. President Zelensky called the president to tell him that the critical minerals deal had passed the parliament in Ukraine. I talked to the president about that call. He said it was very good and productive. And of course, the critical minerals deal is great for Ukraine, but also, of course, for the United States of America and our taxpayers here. It was a good call, and they also spoke about, of course, the ceasefire that the president proposed, the 30-day ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine, which we know Europe is on board with, and we hope both countries will agree to.
Just on next week, do we expect President Putin, is there any chance that he could meet with Trump while he's in the region?
The president answered this yesterday. Not going to happen.
Question on ceasefire. Has he got any reaction from Zelensky or Putin on the proposal for ceasefire? Is he satisfied by the reaction to that proposal?
Not to my knowledge, but certainly if there is reaction and updates, I'm sure you'll hear directly from the president.
Question, the president fired the Librarian of Congress. Why did he choose to do that?
We felt she did not fit the needs of the American people. There were quite concerning things that she had done at the Library of Congress in the pursuit of DEI and putting inappropriate books in the library for children, and we don't believe that she was serving the interests of the American taxpayer well, so she has been removed from her position, and the president is well within his rights to do that. John.
Thank you, Caroline. Happy Mother's Day as well.
Thank you.
President Trump ran on delivering the biggest tax cut in history, got over 70 million votes. Right now, you got a handful of obstructionists in the Republican conference that are saying they're not going to go along with his tax cut package. You just said those that don't will be held accountable. What is your description of being held accountable?
Well, look, I think they'll be held accountable by the voters in their respective districts if they choose to vote for a tax hike to the tune of $4 trillion, which would raise taxes to thousands of dollars per household in this country. The president has great political instincts. That's why he's back in the Oval Office, and Capitol Hill should follow his lead. As for the president, speaking of him, he will be signing executive orders later this afternoon. We are happy to provide more information on those executive orders if you wish. Thank you for the Mother's Day wishes, and happy Mother's Day to all of the moms in the room. And don't forget to call your mom this Sunday. We'll see you guys later. Have a good weekend.
There you go. Call your mom. This Sunday's Mother's Day. A lot of people out there going, oh, wait, it is? Thanks for the reminder. Hey, we're going to return to you now to Dr. Phil. It's in progress. Dr. Phil actually making a house call to the so-called mother-in-law. Thanks for tuning in to the press conference from the White House. Have a great weekend and a great day, everyone.
Was totally incompetent. You said, I can't get anybody to clean. I can't get anybody to help. I can't get anybody to listen.
They're the ones.
I can't get anybody to cooperate. So you're describing yourself as completely and totally inept and incompetent. Why are you so inept and incompetent?
I'm not.
Based on your own description, you are.
I don't know how.
You
No,
can't get her
just
to do
I
what
just
you
want.
want. You can't get him to chew right. You can't get anybody to
They're
do
all
what you
getting on my
want.
nerves because they're living like filth in my home. Not you, filthy, because you're cleaning everything, but you're chewing. You're getting your temper is out of. We gotta agree. The temper's out of hand. Thank you.
Listen,
I don't
I
break
expected to come in here and find blood splattered all over half the walls. I don't know how you people don't kill each other.
I'm ready to. I'm telling you. That's why I wrote to you.
You need to get out of here. You need to make the break.
I know, but I.
It isn't working. You don't have the right to absorb their life. You know, they raised you. Move out. Go get on your own. You're 27. Why do you want to stay here?
There's a lot because, well, number one is my dogs. Number two is my mom
Okay,
cooks.
you're gonna be going to 20.
My mom does still cook and she does laundry, so those are expenses I don't have to incur, so.
Free dog food, free vet.
Okay, so it's free and you get to have your dogs.
Yes.
I rest my case. You don't want to move, You don't want them to move.
Oh my God, yes, I do want him to.
No,
honestly.
you don't. You do not.
I do.
That's the reason that nothing ever changes here. And everybody gets something out of it. You guys get a free place to live and a maid, and you get something to bitch about.
It's family, Dr. Phil, but...
And you create value by doing all of this stuff for them. It makes you feel
Well, what am I going to do as a
valuable.
mom, honestly? What do you want me to do as a mom? Not do anything for them?
Yes. Yes, you can support them from afar. You can
How?
support them from afar. You can be a
What
wife. You could just become a sex kitten. You could just become a sex
No,
kitten
that's
for
okay.
Jerry.
No, I'm too tired for that stuff, too. Look at him.
Oh, they're getting grossed out.
Down there going, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
She won't even tolerate the conversation. You do not want them to leave.
No, I do want him to leave,
in the
but
hell
it'd be
can
on
you
my
say
terms.
that
Wait
when
a
Bob
minute.
went to immediate depression?
Don't start yelling. Don't start yelling.
No, I'm trying to talk over
Don't-
you, which is pretty damn hard to do.
Okay, go ahead, talk.
Okay?
Go ahead, talk.
No, every time I say that, you push back. So Dr. Phil's absolutely right. If I want them to leave, we've had this discussion how many times? And I said, that's it, they've got to go.
It has
It's
to
not
be
healthy
on my
for their-
term. You can't just kick him
No,
out.
on your
You
term?
can't just
Wait
kick
a
him
minute.
out.
You don't want them to leave, but they need to go. It's immature to stay here and live with mommy when you're 27.
Bless you.
What if I?
It's unhealthy.
What if I stayed here during the week and on the weekends?
See?
No, we aren't going to
Gotta go.
on this.
You gotta
See,
go.
this is what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, you gotta move out. You have no idea how much happier you will be.
Hungry.
Well, no.
She'll be losing a lot of weight.
No, I've got an idea.
Thank you
one
for
month-
that.
1 month, you and Steve are not allowed here in your townhouse for 1 month.
Jerry, you have actually a really good idea. You guys should go to the townhouse for a month.
It's not gonna last. Sorry.
No, it doesn't matter. I don't want you to even say anything. That's the way it's got
You
to
know,
be.
you're trying to
guys-
sabotage it before it even starts. Seriously, do not sleep here for a month. Don't bathe
But they
here,
can come
don't
eat
shower
here, right?
here, don't eat here, don't laundry here. Do it for 30 days.
What about all their stuff?
Leave it, dude. Leave it. Don't
I
leave
don't care.
it.
Most of their stuff is gone. The stuff they have left here, no, I'm sorry. The stuff they have left here, that's a
my.
small price to pay for
Okay.
sanity, okay?
Okay.
That stuff can stay.
Can they eat here at least?
No.
Or they just do that. God. Can I go visit?
No.
No.
You can't.
Leave her alone for 30 days. Let her.
No, I'm not bringing any food. I'm not. Nope,
No,
nothing.
you cannot feed them for 30 days. You cannot do their laundry for 30 days. You cannot mother them for 30 days.
For 1 month.
No, I think it's a great plan, but I don't think it's gonna work.
Why?
Well, we'll try it. I'll try it.
Okay, we're gonna try it, and I'm gonna have this house immaculate and
That's
everything.
right. It'll be clean.
Okay.
And I want a
Let's
video
see
of the clean house. I want to see it clean.
Oops.
I saw you look down and you saw him doing that and you looked back up. And now
Actually,
were
you know what? I
surprised.
think they have clean mouths, and it doesn't bother me.
Oh my God. No, Mom, don't.
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to do this. Don't you go over there. Stay.
I won't. I won't. I
Leave them
won't.
alone. You said you want these people to leave you alone. Leave them alone. You want the audience to know that it's not you that's creating
It's
all
not.
this drama. It's
It's
not
not.
you that
That's
creates all
why-
this. Now they're going to know. Because if you break the deal in the next 30 days, everybody in America is going to know you
Are the problem.
are the problem.
No, I know I'm not the problem.
I admit they live
And
like
I want
pigs.
the audience to apologize to me because I'm not the
Don't
mean
need to
person.
apologize to
Yes,
you.
because they all call me names. I'm not a good mom and this and that. It's not. It's. I am a.
Well, then
good
you've got
mom.
something to prove over the
I'm
next
gonna
30
prove
days,
it. I'm
right?
gonna prove it.
Coming up.
Dr. Phil made me think maybe I am a control freak, but that's all I'm gonna admit to. We loved him being here. I don't know if it helped.
You were tortured as a child.
My mother taught me how to be a very good liar without any conscience.
This was a homicide masquerading as a suicide.
Insurify. At Insurify, we make it easy to cut your car insurance bill in half.
Half?
How? Just go to Insurify.com and compare dozens of quotes in a few clicks. You cut out the middleman so you can cut your bill in half. Go to Insurify.com and save up to 50% on your car insurance.
Are you having trouble hearing your TV or listening to conversations in loud spaces? Then it might be time to consider Nano hearing aids. Nanos are FDA-registered OTC hearing aids. Don't be fooled by overpriced hearing aids. Prescription hearing aids could cost $3,000 or more. Nano hearing aids are now offering $100 off through this special TV offer. Call now and get 2 CIC rechargeable hearing aids for only $297. And if you're not happy, return them for a full refund.
The poverty is unimaginable. There are people who are struggling.
This is where she washes the dishes.
If you're ever going to allow your Christian faith to rise and to do something for God's chosen people, now is the time.
This is the home of Galina. She's 96 years old.
This is what she had to eat for today.
She has one pot with water and wheat.
My father was killed by the Nazis, and I was an orphan. I didn't know about God. But now, in the cold, hungry nights, I pray for food to the God I've never known. There are good people that love you.
You see the tears. Scripture says joy can come in the morning, and you can be the reason.
If you will bless these hurting children of Israel, you will receive God's blessing in return. Your urgent gift today of $25 will help rush a survival food box filled with life-saving essentials. If you call right now, your gift's impact will be doubled to help save lives. Call, scan, or go online now.
I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, I don't know how much longer she could have waited for us to come.
I can't even grow my food anymore. What will happen to me? I'm doomed to starve.
Tens of thousands of elderly Holocaust survivors in the former Soviet Union are living in extreme poverty, hungry, and forgotten. But through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, we can bring them hope.
Eggs. It's my favorite food. May you be blessed.
You say to them, we see you and we're here to help.
If you call right now, your gift's impact will be doubled to help save lives.
We now return to Dr. Phil visits monster-in-law Collude.
All right, so we have a plan here, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Goes into effect tonight.
We'll see.
I like it.
You don't want to wait till the 1st?
No.
Yeah, I swear.
No.
You do have a lovely home, and see, a hush will fall over this place now. It'll be the sound of pickle crunching echoing through
Come on.
the house.
That's, I mean, honestly, how could a person just...
Find his body and then
I was ready to do that, to be honest with you. I was ready to kill somebody. That's why I needed your help. Either I was gonna end up in a nut hospital or be in prison. I'm serious. I was shocked that Dr. Phil was here. I didn't really think he's gonna show up.
When Dr. Phil came into the bedroom, I wanted to crawl under the covers because I had my underwear sticking out of my drawers. So I was like, great, Dr. Phil's seeing everything.
When I heard Dr. Phil start putting the blame where it was, it took every ounce of energy for me to stay in my seat because he was my hero, he's my idol, he nailed it, and they finally listened.
Dr. Phil made me think maybe I am a control freak, but that's all I'm gonna admit to.
What Dr. Phil said that surprised me was that I'm still acting as like a 14-year-old child rather than a 27-year-old woman. So I never looked at it that way, and after he said it, it made sense.
I'm kind of disappointed that he didn't take my side. He still took the 3 dummies' side. And he was supposed to take my side. I'm the one who's going through all this, and yet he's sitting at my dinner table and praising them, and then I'm the wrong person? What? I don't get it.
These next 30 days are gonna be very trying.
It's not gonna be easy, but we're gonna make some headway.
I don't know if it helped. But we loved him being here.
I'm totally convinced that Dr. Phil taking the time to come here will be a changing day in the life of this family.
Coming up.
If anybody breaks this agreement for the next 30 days, it's going to be Collude. I promise.
He's gonna give you 30 days and it's gonna change. I ain't gonna change. Nothing's gonna change.
But first, here's another Dr. Phil Show classic collude moment.
When you and your husband got married, what did you do? What were you studying for?
I didn't have
what did you
to
do?
work.
Besides
I
being,
did not
I'm sorry,
have
hang
to
on.
work.
Besides being a mall security cop.
Yeah, so?
Not that there's anything
At
wrong
least
with that.
I got
you
a
were,
job.
You were getting your,
At
you were
least
getting
I
your
got a
associate's
job.
degree
And
in
I
law
work
enforcement,
full-time
correct?
so my
In law
husband could go to
enforcement.
work.
In law enforcement, right?
Fellas,
So?
how you doing?
Civil service.
So?
So
what
did
are you
your
trying
husband
to
do?
prove
What
to
did
me?
your husband do
You're
when
still
you got
a
married?
loser. You're
What
still
did your
a
husband do
dumbass
when
and
you got
always
married?
will be.
What did your husband do when you
Loser.
got
I'm already
married?
talking, no action.
Answer the
Get
When
your
you
degree.
decided
I
to
answered
get
questions
married.
now.
What'd he do?
I'm a female. I don't have to work.
And
What
you
did he
got
do?
married to him. Why did you do that? That's
Love
okay.
is blind.
We just turned their mics off.
Okay,
Go ahead.
thank you.
We're not going to just tell stories. We're going to go inside the minds of these killers.
He told me his name was Ted and he was a law student.
Let's break this down for a minute. This was a man who'd make the devil blush with his sins. I want you to walk in the shoes of both perpetrator and prey.
Mystery and Murder. Subscribe on your favorite podcast service.
When it comes to family, I always do what's best. My parents taught me that. That's why I called A Place for Mom. Their personalized guidance was just what I needed to find senior living for Mom. And their advice is free to families. Not just free, invaluable. Our advisor gave us options based on our needs and budget, guiding us to the best decision. I never expected a free service to make such a difference.
Our service comes at no cost to your family. Connect with us today.
Struggling to lose weight? Help reach your health goals with one simple change. One shake. Clinically tested benefits. And over 1 billion servings sold. Packed with superfoods, protein, pre- and probiotics, adaptogens, and more. This all-in-one nutrition shake helps support healthy energy, digestion, and helps curb cravings. For your daily dose of vital nutrients, subscribe and save. Get free shipping, discounts, and a free shaker cup when you subscribe at Shakeology.com.
If you've been in an accident that wasn't your fault, your favorite attorney has a message for you. Collision, calamity, catastrophe. If you want money, you need an attorney. You need a bulldog. That's why you need to call the number on your screen now. You'll be connected to a legal expert. You got questions? They got answers. These bulldogs will make sure people pay. And if you don't get money, I don't get money. Pick up that phone and make that call now to see what your case could be worth.
800-591-1477.
NetCredit is here to say yes to a personal loan or line of credit, even when other lenders won't. Apply online in minutes and get funds deposited the next business day or sooner. Go to netcredit.com. NetCredit. Credit to the people.
It's on Friday night.
You want some of this? Come and get it.
First, Tony the Hulk Johnson and the Nashville Smash. Mix it up with Tyler Schaefer and the Miami Assassins.
Huge shot.
Next up, Doc Robinson and the Atlanta Attack take on AJ Graham, Magic May Lotta, and the undefeated Dallas Enforcers.
Oh, big right.
Nashville, Miami. Then Atlanta, Dallas. Tonight at 9 on Merit TV.
We now return to Dr. Phil Visits Monster-in-Law Collude.
So that completes my week at Collude's house. Actually, it was just a day, but a colorful day and lots of drama. And listen, I came away with some conclusions. Collude doesn't want these people to move out, and they don't want to move out. I mean, that's exactly why this has gone on and on. You know, I thought for a while that maybe this was just for the camera. This is just drama playing this out. But that's not the case. They actually have some real symbiotic attachments here. So I've given them an assignment. They got a 30-day mission, and I got some eyes and ears inside these walls. So we're gonna see what happens. So right now I'm leaving them with 4 people, 7 dogs, and a plan. It's supposed to change to just 2 people starting tonight. So we'll see what happens. I'm interested to hear what all of you think. We'll keep you posted.
Steve and I will be moving out tonight. Me and Steve will stay at the townhouse for 30 days, and there's only one dog is allowed at the townhouse. So we'll see what happens. Oh, these are my mom's. I don't want these.
If anybody breaks this agreement for the next 30 days, it's going to be collude. I promise.
I've always been right, and I'm still gonna be right. Because she's gonna be back, especially that one, because he does love my food. Everything is free, and I cook and clean. Look, I'm still gonna do, they're gonna be back.
I really hope collude just leaves us the hell alone for the next 30 days.
I've been here for a long time, so it's a very secure feeling here. It's not that it's hard to leave, it's just that I'm just comfortable. It's hard to leave comfort.
One more try, babe. There we go.
He's gonna give you 30 days, and it's gonna change. I ain't gonna change. Nothing's gonna change. I'm kind of gonna give up. It is what it is. Maybe there's a reason for everything that's happening in my life. I must have been bad in past life to have this. Seriously.
I hope we don't come back. Ever. Ever. Ever.
Welcome to Dr. Phil's Merit TV. Tonight on Dr. Phil Primetime. Some call it hippie crack, teens call it whippets or buzz bombs. I'm talking about nitrous oxide.
It was an addiction unlike anything else I'd had before.
I really didn't think that it was that dangerous because you could get it like anywhere.
You wound up paralyzed from the waist down.
Your body is literally dying. All of your nerves are dying.
Why it's way more dangerous than people think and what everyone needs to know. Thank you for joining us. Tonight we're talking about a potentially lethal drug that can be purchased at gas stations, smoke shops, and online. Some call it hippie crack, teens call it whippets or buzz bombs. Chefs use it to create foams and whipped creams, while doctors and dentists use it as an anesthetic. I'm talking about nitrous oxide. You may have even had it at the dentist office. But tonight, we're talking about a shocking truth about the legal $36 high that seems to be trending on social media and sweeping across the nation. How your children are influenced, why it's way more dangerous than people think, and what everyone needs to know. Now, Rachel began using nitrous oxide at parties when she was 23 years old, and it wasn't long before she was inhaling up to 6 tanks of nitrous oxide a day. And Rachel, frankly, you feel like you're lucky to be here tonight. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, that's a really fair statement. That's even an understatement.
I really appreciate your willingness to talk about this because I think it can save a lot of people some serious suffering and perhaps some lives. You said you first tried this at a party when you were 23. Did you have any idea how dangerous it was when you first tried it?
Yeah, like it was explained to me that it like kills brain cells and, you know, obviously doing anything like that was out of character for me. But yeah, at first I just kind of thought it was dumb. It's really short. Yeah, it wasn't something that was super common. I was bartending. Yeah, and around that area, a lot of people were using them. EDM music scene, kind of, so.
Let's go back to somebody telling you this will kill brain cells. Whenever you drink alcohol, everybody's always said, this will kill brain cells when you drink alcohol, right? So this wasn't like a dramatic statement when you first heard it, like this will kill some brain cells, but so does alcohol. So what did you say to yourself about it the first time to give yourself permission to do it?
How could something that lasts such a short time be that harmful? And it's something that they use at the dentist's office.
Yeah, okay. I'm so glad you said that Because I've heard that from people that have done this the way you did to begin with, when they say, hey, they give this to you at the dentist office, so they're not in there killing your brain, so how could it be doing this to me now? So was that part of your reasoning?
And why would they be selling it at stores if it's harmful? I mean, obviously with alcohol, but you're accepting, as an adult that, okay, I'm deciding to do this. It might not be the best thing for me, but there's no way that it's like the upper scale drug or something that I could get heavily addicted to.
All right. So what was your reaction to it? How did it affect you the first time you used it?
It made my head buzz. At that point in my life, alcohol had a pretty strong hold on me. And I didn't think much of it. If it was around and somebody purchased it and I was around it, sure. But I was never something I was going to buy on my own.
Okay. But now you said you had some issues with alcohol, but you had stopped drinking in January of 22, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And was that hard?
Yeah. I was up to about a bottle of Tito's a day. So, and I quit cold turkey. I wasn't aware that, there was dangers to that. And that was really difficult lifestyle changes. Coming out of kind of the mess I made. And for the first 6 or so months, I was really, really good. I struggled with a lot of mental health that I ended up getting diagnosed with. And then, I didn't really ever seek treatment for addiction or go to any groups or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found that I was kind of transferring addictions with different substances.
Okay. And this is when you started to experiment with nitrous, right?
Yeah.
You did some ecstasy?
Yeah. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but I have done a few different drugs. Yes.
Okay. But it was nitrous that got a real strong hold on you, correct?
Yeah, which was bizarre. Like, to me, it was bizarre because it's such a short-lived, they're expensive. Like, it was an addiction unlike anything else I'd had before. Like, the almost immediate need to go get another one when you're finished is like something I can't explain. And as an alcoholic, I'm, very used to the constant thought of wanting something, wanting it now, always wanting it. But this was different.
And you said that you had some mental health struggles. Were you diagnosed with a particular disorder? And if so, what?
So I'm diagnosed bipolar, borderline personality disorder. I have CPTSD, ADHD, and generalized anxiety disorder.
Okay. And did this have a calming effect on you when you used it?
Yes. And I, obviously being an alcoholic, benzodiazepines are not a good option for me.
Mm-hmm.
They are not, and it's because it fires the same receptors in your GABA receptors that alcohol does. And so you have an even more high chance of getting addicted to it. So I had always not liked downers when I was drinking because I was drinking. And then when I stopped drinking at about 6 months, I had kind of I had a manic episode. I took Lexapro not knowing I was bipolar, and it sent me manic. And at 6 months, everyone was talking about how sobriety is the best they've ever felt. And for me, I was 110 pounds, like going to the hospital every other week, having panic attacks. And so once I got diagnosed, it was a lot to cope with, like a lot. Like, I kind of thought the bipolar diagnosis was the worst thing that could happen. And then when the borderline diagnosis came, I was gutted.
Well, I'm really sorry that you had to deal with all of that. And then you add this onto it, that creates a real problem. And you said this got expensive for you. How much did you wind up doing in a day, and how were you paying for it?
I was bartender at a club, and I had worked there when I was younger. So, everybody knows me. And not to talk myself up, but being an attractive bartender at a club like that, you make a decent amount of money. And so, I call myself the best functioning addict until I'm not. I can make anything work if I really want to live that way until I can't. So yeah, I was spending probably around $180 to $200 when I was using 6 to 8 takes. They're about $40 a piece. I mean, at that point, the workers everywhere knew me and they were giving me deals.
Well, we're going to talk about what happened when you got up to that level, because Rachel says after years of abusing nitrous oxides because it filled her time and made her feel calm, she ended up paying a severe price. And we're going to hear more about that right after the break. Let's talk about what went wrong. Your hands went numb. What all happened when it got really bad? How many of those were you doing in a day?
At the worst, I was up to like maybe 10 of the bigger tanks a day, all the way up to maybe 16 on a bad day. I couldn't do anything without it. You know, I felt like I couldn't function without it, and anytime I was sober, the only thing I was thinking about was going to get another tank.
Tonight on Dr. Phil Primetime, what is family? On one end, those who are making the choice to be unapologetically child-free. What's the main reason you don't want to have a child?
I want to live my life the way I want to.
And on the other end, a man who has more than 160 children with several more on the way. How did you get motivated to do this?
Knowing how much love and joy I'm spreading.
Don't say spreading. That's tonight. What's gold is new again. Pardon the pun. But considering gold has been used as currency since around 550 BCE, it has been on fire the past year. I'm here with Daniel Boston, the founder of Preserve Gold. Why is gold so stable and such a good investment for many people?
Take the central bank, for example, the Federal Reserve. They print money out of thin air, and then they take that printed money to go buy hard assets like gold to protect themselves against the very risks that they're creating. So I always tell people, don't do what the big players are telling you to do. Do what they're doing themselves.
Yeah, watch what they're doing.
That's correct.
Okay. If people are interested in investing with Preserve Gold, how do they get started?
You can give us a call at our toll-free number, 844-407-6375. You can text Phil to 50505, or you can check out our website, www.drphilgold.com.
All right. No way you can miss it.
Are you sitting at home living in pain? Maybe it's in your hands, maybe your back or your hips. The good news is you don't need to live in pain. Why? Because there is Omega XL, a one-of-a-kind, natural, powerful joint relief supplement created from the green lip mussels of New Zealand. Drug-free, non-habit forming. It's small, easy to swallow, and it's backed by more than 40 years of clinical research. As I was getting older, my joints started to feel that wear and tear. But then I tried Omega XL, and it changed my life. If you're experiencing daily aches and pains due to aging and overuse, try Omega XL and see the difference it can make in your life.
Buy one, get two free. 2 bottles of Omega XL plus Vitamin XL D3, a value of more than $85. Call today and you pay only $39.95. Plus, you have nothing to lose because it's backed by our 60-day money-back guarantee. Call now.
A little over a year ago, Rachel considered herself sober because she didn't think inhaling nitrous oxide was harmful. Now, Rachel, let's talk about this. This is a 640-gram canister, or you call it a tank, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and this cost how much? This size?
$40.
This is $40.
I was living in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Yeah, I've heard they're more expensive in Denver.
Okay, so at the worst, you were using 6 to 8 of these a day?
Yeah, I think my highest number was probably 8.
Okay, and there's a apparatus that goes on the top of this and allows you to inhale it directly, right? Or would you use a balloon, or would you use it directly?
So, depends. I mean, it's a nozzle that screws on. It's a little plastic nozzle. I personally just hit it from the tank. You have to be careful to not angle it at any sort of way, kind of upwards, because it can shoot freezing cold air down your throat, which has happened to me. That's why people use balloons. They also use the balloons because you can blow the air in and back and in and back, basically taking oxygen from your brain more and more. So you're breathing in carbon dioxide and you get higher.
Right. And you say the more you used, the more poisoned you became, you passed out after a while, right? Just completely lost consciousness?
Yeah, right. Like I would just wake up and they, like, people that I was doing them with would, tell me that I had passed out.
Okay. Now, was there something that triggered you to use this more heavily? I think you said you'd been through a breakup. Were you medicating with this?
Yeah. So what's common with bipolar people is that medication kind of stops working randomly. And yeah, with medication changes, I definitely have more of trigger to use. And with, relationships and having borderline personality disorder, there's a lot that goes on. So it is kind of, I have tumultuous relationships, unfortunately. But yeah, I was having a lot of issues with just a bunch of stuff. I got bartending at a bar I used to work at. And initially when I got sober from drinking, I was working in a restaurant and I stopped working in bars because I couldn't separate my life. So when I started working at this bar again, I was around similar people and I made the decision to start using it. And everything since I stopped drinking has had a much stronger hold on me because I did not go completely sober. I just stopped drinking.
Right.
So I was still using other things.
Well, let's talk about what went wrong when you had a bad spell from this nitrous. Your hands went numb. What all happened when it got really bad?
Yeah, so I had been like falling and just weird thing. And when I fell, I hit my elbow. My hand was going numb by Easter time. And it felt like it was asleep. And then it started kind of going down my arm and like kind of my leg. And I was dropping things. And it was just really weird. I had bartended a 9-hour shift, was like kind of fine. But people thought I was like, there was people saying to me that they thought I was drunk. The next I fall asleep. I wrote a paper that night. I fall asleep. I wake up and it feels like my hips are broken. And I like can't go to the bathroom. And I'm like, what? So I freak out. I call 911. They take me to the hospital. And at first they just thought it was muscle spasms. I didn't tell them about nitrous because I had no idea that like that could be causing whatever was going on. And so they sent me home they sent me to go get medication from the pharmacy. And it was like for muscle spasms and something else. At that point, was wearing sandals. When I got out of my Uber, my shoe had fallen off and I had not felt it. I get these medication. I go to a smoke shop next to my pharmacy, grab another tank, hitting it. I have a friend reach out to me and says, please look up the case study of nitrous poisoning. I go look it up. I'm sitting in bed. I like instantly start bawling. I'm like, oh my God. And it's saying people are paralyzed. They can't, I'm like, he's like, I'll take you to the ER tomorrow morning. By the time I got to the ER, I had to go, they were walking out with a wheelchair because I lost so much function of my ability to walk that like I was falling over. I told them that like, I have nitrous poisoning, you need to run my blood. Within 30 minutes of them doing that, I had about 7 people from neuro in my room and I was admitted.
You say nitrous poisoning. Let's take a look at the nitrous oxide misuse health risk, because I want people to know, because you were a classic case of this. There's short term, there's oxygen displacement that can cause asphyxiation. Your brain's not getting oxygen, which can result in brain damage or death short term. There's loss of blood pressure, which can cause fainting and heart attack. And then long term, you've got a vitamin B deficiency and you can have irreversible neuropathy and paralysis. A psychological addiction can obtain depression, anxiety. You can have neurological blood-related complications, frostbite, which results in tissue damages, which is why you mentioned people use balloons sometimes to regulate the pressure. And all of this was coming true with you. And I'm so glad that somebody really brought this to your attention. If you notice, folks, when we're talking about these long-term consequences, they are serious and can be life-threatening. And we're going to add to this conversation a former nitrous oxide addict who says a knock on the door from unwanted visitors may very well have saved her life. You'll see that this can happen, not in isolated cases, but using it heavily like this can be so very dangerous, which is why you need to know this. We'll be right back. Did they ever mention sudden sniffing death syndrome or the likelihood of psychological addiction or that this could cause permanent neurological damage? Were there any warnings posted anywhere you were buying this or on social media? Did anybody ever give you a red flag about this to either one of you?
The other problem with this is, it's so easily accessible at birthday parties for young children. They're taking in balloons that have helium and think it's funny to talk like Mickey Mouse. If you have addiction genetics, you're lighting fires in a lot of people and you don't even know
it. We're not going to just tell stories. We're going to go inside the minds of these killers.
He told me his name was Ted and he was a law student.
Let's break this down for a minute. This was a man who'd make the devil blush with his sins. I want you to walk in the shoes of both perpetrator and prey.
Mystery and Murder. Subscribe on your favorite podcast service.
I thought we had a plan for Dad. He was set to go to the senior living community right by my house. Then a friend suggested I talk to a place for Mom. They really opened my eyes. My advisor listened and understood his needs and showed us options that were still nearby, but a better fit for Dad. Now he's in a warm, engaging community with a big group of friends. I know we made the better choice.
For free senior living advice, go to aplaceformom.com.
Saving money is always exciting. That's why right now is the perfect time for you to join AARP. As an AARP member, you'll have exclusive access to hundreds of benefits, resources, and tools that can help you save money, stay healthy, have fun, and make a difference in your life. Plus, you can receive everyday discounts at top retailers on prescriptions, dining, travel, and so much more. Pick up your phone and call, or go to joinaarp.org to join today. You'll get your first year for just $15 with automatic renewal, plus a second membership for free. Wow, that's a great deal. What else do I get when I join? There are practical and easy-to-use tools with insightful tips on managing your money, boosting your fitness, and so much more. Plus, you get the AARP Now mobile app with daily news, in-depth features, and access to local events and activities.
AARP offers a lot, but I'm not retired.
Oh, you don't have to be retired to join AARP. AARP is the largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age.
Love that. So how much can I really save by joining?
Up to 15% off dining, up to 30% off car rentals, plus free movie screenings, digital books, online games, and more. There are all kinds of AARP discounts, programs, and more. Oh, almost forgot. Your membership also includes a full-year subscription to AARP the magazine. When you consider everything you get with your membership, it's a great value. Your membership begins instantly, so join now. Call or go online now to join AARP. You'll get your first full year for just $15 with automatic renewal. That's a savings of 25% off the regular annual membership price of $20. We'll also include a second membership free, plus a free insulated trunk organizer. Call or go online now.
Call 800-876-1358 or go online today.
Well, we've been talking to Rachel, who got into a situation of actually nitrous poisoning. And I want to add to the conversation Jenna, who says she started using nitrous oxide for fun. Now at 25, Jenna has been in rehab 4 times for her addiction to inhaling what many believe is just commonly called laughing gas. You get it at the dentist sometimes as a anesthesia if you're having a procedure done. And Jenna, you've been listening to what we've been talking about so far, right?
Yes.
All right, good. So what was it about nitrous that made it feel harmless to you when you first started using it?
Well, I started using it just with friends for fun. I really didn't think that it was that dangerous, you know. So I didn't really think it was a big deal. I thought it was mostly safe because you could get it like anywhere.
And you could, right? You could get it at a gas station or a smoke shop or really a lot of places. And, you know, both you and Rachel said, hey, you can buy it anywhere. They wouldn't let that happen if it was that dangerous. Did that go through your head as well as Rachel's?
Yes, it was like that, you know. I guess because it was so accessible. And I mean, the people that were selling it over the counter, they knew what was happening, you know? So when they were selling it to me, it's not like they were like, oh, be careful, you know? It was just like buying a vape.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. I'm not a big fan of that either because of what that can create with your lungs. But
yeah, it was like they were excited to see me coming.
Yeah, I'll bet. I mean, these things are expensive.
Yeah.
And Jenna, what did you pay for yours? Rachel was saying it was like $40 for the smaller canisters.
Yeah.
What were you paying?
So for those tanks that you showed, they were about $45 here in New Orleans, but I quickly upgraded to the bigger tanks, which ran at about $100. They were maybe twice the size of that one. And so that they had like a strap on it to where it would make it easier to carry because it was so heavy. So those were more expensive and I was buying them like constantly.
And how much were you doing in a day, Jenna? How many of these larger tanks, like 2,000 gram or whatever, how many of those were you doing in a day?
It started off with maybe like 3 big tanks a day, but at the worst, I was up to like maybe 10 of the bigger tanks a day, all the way up to maybe 16 on a bad day.
Oh, wow. So this took a lot of time, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I couldn't do anything without it. You know, I felt like I couldn't function without it. And anytime I was sober, the only thing I was thinking about was going to get another tank.
Yeah. And so people have an idea. If you're talking about a whipped cream can, for example, that would do maybe 3 cups of whipped cream, that's got 8 grams in it. And then the size that I'm showing here is 640 grams. That would make 153 cups. And then the larger tanks that Jen is talking about are 2,000 grams, would make 500 cups of whipped cream. So look, when they're selling these, they know what they're doing. They don't put a carrying strap on